Deadpool is a Marvel cartoon character who has starred in several of his own movies. His look is pretty cool and pretty detailed, but I think you'll find out it's not that hard to draw him if we take it just one step at a time. Hi, my name's Kathy, and I've been teaching kids how to draw for over 20 years now. You know, my favorite thing to do is to show students that when you take things one step at a time, learning how to draw just might be easier than you think. As always, the supplies to make this drawing are pretty simple, just a pencil, black marker, paper, and a few crayons. You can also find a link to a step-by-step tutorial in the description below. I like to work with two middle pencil guidelines on my paper. They help me center my drawing and make it nice and large so that it fills the whole page. Step number 1. Let's begin with the oval head, which begins near the top of the paper. When you're done, place your pencil underneath that and draw the outside arm, which comes down and ends at the wrist. Then add the inside arm, and then the side of the chest. When that side is done, then go to the other side and do the same thing. Add the outside arm line, the inside arm line, and the side of that chest, which also ends at the waist. Step number 2, now we can add the legs. Let's begin at the waist, draw the outside leg line down and ends at the ankle, then draw the inside leg line. Notice how the thickness changes from the thigh to the ankle. When one side is done, then go to the other side and try to make it match the first leg as well as you can. Step number 3, now we can finish things off a bit. Let's add a glove on that right arm with a shape and lines inside like this. Then a flopped version of that glove on the left arm with the same details inside. Afterwards, let's move down and add a band on that right ankle with a shoe that's pointing a bit to the right, and the same kind of band on the left ankle with that shoe pointing a bit to the left. Step number 4, let's go up and finish that mask now. There's a patch on the right side with a small eye shape in the middle, and the same patch is added to the left side with the eye, and just a couple of stitch lines on top and a line for the bump of his nose. Now for Deadpool's suit, which does have a lot of lines. Let's start with the curves on his neck and what I think is the zipper lines that go below that. When those lines are done, add a circle near his waist for the buckle of his belt. Step number 5, now come a bunch of lines on his chest. Just follow my example of drawing a line on one side and then adding the same to the other side and going back and forth until you're finished. I think that's the best way to make sure you get them all. Oh, I do see a couple more lines I want to add, and then comes the sides of his belt. They line up with his buckle. Afterwards, I'm going to start drawing a small pouch on the right side, drawing it first and then erasing lines inside afterwards, and then drawing another pouch on the left side. If this feels too hard to do, just make them a little smaller so you don't need to erase any inside lines. It will look just fine too. Step number 6. Now come the final touches to the sleeves. There's a patch near the top, on the shoulders, and a band at the elbow, and more seam lines above and below that. When one side is done, draw matching shapes on the other side. And please don't worry if they're a little different from each other. Just having all this detail is what makes Deadpool's suit so fun to look at. Step number 7. Okay, the legs are a little different from each other, so let's start with the thigh on the right. Draw the bands and the gadget shapes seen here, erasing lines as needed, so those shapes look like they're in front of the leg. Do try to draw lightly. As you can see, sometimes you need to erase things. The thigh on the left has similar shapes on it, but they're in little different places. Do try to draw lightly here too, as it always helps when you need to erase something. The knees get some knee pad shapes added on the right and left knee. and some seam lines too. I'm adding just a couple more lines here and then going down to finish off the shoes, which have a wide strap shape near the top and a patch underneath them. When the right and the left side are done, I'll add one more line to the bottom of the shoe. I see I need to add one more little pouch shape to the right leg. Now those gloves get a few more details, some seam lines on the right one, and draw the same on the left one. Step number 8, we're almost done. The sword shape is added above the shoulder on the right, and the same on the left, and then an added patch and strap goes across his chest. Be sure to erase any lines inside and fix them if you need to, so it definitely looks like that strap is in front of everything else. Step number 9. All right, this drawing is done. It's time to trace all of those lines really carefully with a good black marker. And because there are so many pencil lines, just take a moment to erase any extra ones that are still showing. Now comes the fun part, coloring in our detail drawing. I'm going to begin with all the black shapes. There's quite a few. And then come back and fill in everything else which is red. Do press hard to get a nice bright red color. I know that was a lot of detail to draw, but I do think this makes a pretty cool drawing of Deadpool, don't you think? At Art Projects for Kids, you'll find many more cartoon drawing lessons, including how to draw Spider-Man and how to draw Batman. Over the years, my website has helped millions of kids learn how to draw. Thank you for joining me today, and if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really does help me make more of these.